No matter what age you are, no matter what size you are, and no matter what sewing ability you have, let's always be in style with good-looking tops. My name is Judy Kessinger from the Fit Nice System, and today what I'd like to do is show you how to take a master pattern, just a basic pattern, and change it to get all these different looks that I have behind me. Now, let's start with a basic pattern. First of all, I want to tell you that all patterns, all designers, all clothes that you see in the retail market, all start with a front and a back and a sleeve, unless it's sleeveless, then you don't put sleeve in. But they all start with a basic. So that's exactly what we're gonna do, is start with a basic pattern. Now, I have mine drawn out on poster board here, and we're gonna pretend this is my pattern. You can see it's nice and little here. So if I start with this one basic pattern, and I wanna change all these styles, let's start with fabric. So the first fabric I wanna talk about is a knit. When you choose a knit for your top, I'm going to suggest that you stay away from those flimsy knits and choose something that has a little bit more body. When you're in the store shopping, actually pick the knit up. Don't pick a little piece up. Pick the whole piece up and stretch it and make sure it recovers, because that's what you're after. Now, I like a little heavier body because I have a little heavier body, and I want to make sure that this fabric skims my body, not hugs my body. So that's why I choose a little bit heavier knit for some of my basic tops. You can choose a knit that has a print to it. This is a really pretty print, but again, it has a little bit more body. So the choice is really kind of up to you as to what you're comfortable in. You know, ladies say to me, I have no idea what color I am. Yes, you do. Open your closet. What are you looking at? That'll tell you exactly what color that you particularly like. I love slinky fabric, and slinky fabric just presents a little bit more of a challenge to work with. So if you're a beginner, don't use this in the beginning. And the only reason that it is a little more of a challenge is because it is slinky. Now, one of the suggestions that I will give you is the foot to use when you sew on these slinkies. This is a non-stick foot. So this allows the fabric to flow under your machine. Make sure that you use a stretch needle when you're sewing with these knits, and always have this foot near you. So maybe you're sewing with an open toe foot or a regular sewing foot, and it's not sewing the way you want it to sew. Change to your non-stick foot and see if that doesn't help you. That's a really good, easy tip. This is called ITY fabric. Now, ITY stands for interlock twist yarn, and I love this fabric because I love the colors in it. But I love this fabric because it has a lot of movement in it. A lot of people say, I don't want to wear this because it hugs my body. It doesn't hug your body if it fits correctly. So make sure the garment fits to begin with. Then you can use any of these fabrics in any fashion that you want. Again, that non-stick foot helps when you sew with this. This is called merino wool. And merino wool is something they use in a lot of your exercise wear because it has a high wick factor to it. It doesn't hold the moisture. Again, it's a beautiful knit. It has a beautiful hand. So check out the merino wool as well. This is sweater knit. Don't be afraid of sweater knit because you can make your own sweaters. This is a little bit lighter weight. This is a little bit heavier weight. So again, the choice is up to you when you shop in the stores. Just kind of feel it and see if you like that next to your body, and then we're going to go back to our pattern. So we're going to start with a basic pattern, and I want to show you how to have fun with it. I have a pattern. I have a very tiny sleeve, and you can change your sleeve lengths to make the garment look different as well. But I want to show you how to take a right angle. That's all this is, and I have two of them, one for both sides of my garment. And what I'm going to do is when I cut this out, I'm going to lay this on my fabric, and I'm going to take my two right angles and lay them just like this. And then when you cut this out, you're going to cut a front and a back, and we're going to call these little wings because that's really all they are, just little wings. When you come up here, you can see that you're going to have to angle that as you cut. You don't want that line to be sharp like this, but just angle it as you cut. Now, once you've done this, you've got wings added to the side of your shirt. And I want to show you this one because on this one, you can see it even just a little bit better. Let me move this over So you can see, can you see the wing is actually inserted in there in this sheer fabric. So it takes a plain t-shirt into something just a little bit different. Now, if you look over here on the dress form, I have a vest, and a vest is nothing more than no sleeves. So I have a vest, and it also has the wings on it. So it gives a little bit more flow in an area a lot of us need a little bit extra in. So it just gives a little bit more flow to the garment. You can make this short or you can make that long. It's totally up to you. I want to talk about this coat because this one is a really simple thing to do. We're going to take our 2 right angles, and now I'm just going to use half of this garment, or half of this pattern, and that's the front, all right, because obviously it has lapels on it. So if I take this right angle and I lay it over here on the side. Now, I'm only putting this right angle on the front of my coat, not on the back of my coat. It's cut perfectly straight. And that just gives you a really pretty A-line. A lot of ladies have a hard time making a nice pretty A. It winds up dimpling at the side seams. If you only put this in the front, it gives you a better look to it and a softer A, as you can see on the dress form. Now I'm going to take that other right angle and I'm going to put it up here like that, and guess what? That's what makes the lapels. So really easy to do. So you can take this one pattern and turn it into a coat. This fabric is a double-faced wool, and if I'm taking this from a t-shirt into a wool, you're obviously taking something that doesn't stretch. So I add to my side seams when I do that, and that gives me a little bit more movement in the garment so that I can use a piece of woven fabric. Now let's go back to that whole pattern again. I'm going to lay this out here and show you how to change it again. This time I'm just taking a rectangle. See, we learned all these angles in school, didn't we? So now we're going to play with them. I'm going to take the rectangle and I'm going to add it to the side of my garment, and when I cut this out, I'm going to cut a front with the rectangle attached and the back with a rectangle attached. And then what I'm going to do, that's going to give me a place to tie this garment. So you get a really pretty soft tie to it, and all you did was add that rectangle to it. Now, one of the things that I love is if you get into any of these garments and you don't particularly like the look of it, you can always seam it off, cut it off, and take it away. So that makes you the designer, which is really fun to do. Now let's take this into a dress. But before I talk about a dress, there are lots and lots of garments on the market right now that are tunic length. So this can be tunic length as long as a dress, along with the dress as well. So I'm going to take my basic pattern. I'm going to cut another piece, and I'm just going to put it to the bottom of that pattern. When you cut this out, you have a dress length, and that's the last one that's on the dress form. So it makes it really simple to change that basic pattern just by what you add or subtract to it. Now, one of the tricks I want to show you is something called stitch in the ditch. When you stitch in the ditch, you're literally finishing the neck edge, and this is what is on this garment, but I'm going to go over to the machine and show you the foot that I used on the stitch in the ditch. This is an edge joining foot, and it has a little, just kind of like a little lip right here, so that you literally can guide that along when you're stitching in the ditch. You can use an open toe foot if you want to do it that way, or you can take a clear foot. Anytime that you can get a clear foot on your machine, I find it easier to use because I can see through it. I can see exactly where I'm going. So when you stitch in the ditch, choose again a stretch needle because you're working on knit, and make sure that you use the foot that's appropriate for that particular item. You know, when we use the tools that are correct, it makes it so much easier, and that's really what we're after, is to make this easy. I want to show you a detail, and this is a really fun detail, to finish off the edge of a sleeve, and that's what I have here. It's just a little sleeve. Now, one of the fun things about this is the detail that I'm going to show you is called a faux cuff. You can use this at the bottom of your pants. You can use it at the bottom bottom of a long sleeve, a 3/4 sleeve, or a short sleeve. You can really even use this at the bottom of your shirt if you want to do it. But you have to have a little bit extra length when you cut this out. So think about it when you cut it out. So this is my sleeve. I'm going to fold up 1.5 inches and I'm going to press it really good. Then I'm going to fold up another 1.5 inches and press it and take it to the machine. And now what I'm going to do is put it over this wonderful free arm. And one little trick that I'd like to show you is machines have the needle moves on your machine. So I want to move this needle all the way over as far as I can move it. And I'm going to do just a little bit longer stitch length, maybe like a 3.5. So just a little bit longer, just so you get some detail. Now, obviously, if you were sewing on this, you would use the correct color to go with that. But I'm just going to use white so that you all can see. I like when I have a guide and I'm lining up the edge of the fabric right here. I'm lining that up with the foot. So it keeps your stitching straight. So I'm going to stitch all the way around this sleeve. And when I get to the end, I'm going to cut my thread like this. And you can see when I open this back up, you have a cuff on the bottom of your sleeve. Let me put this on, you can see, isn't that a cute cuff? So an easy way to do it. Here's the best part about this, guess what? All the raw edges are caught up inside there. So again, fold it up once, 1.5 inches, fold it up twice, 1.5 inches, top stitch 1/4 inch away from there, and when you fold that back down, you have an instant cuff. So simple way to finish off the edge.